You see this picture right here? Yeah, that's the moment a man's soul leaves his body. You could probably freeze frame it, watch my sanity, pack a suitcase, call an Uber, and book it straight for the coast. That's the face of a year-long neighborhood war. I never signed up for fighting against an enemy who thought lawyers were throwing stars and entitlement was a full-body shield. Let me back up a sec. Because it all started as these nightmares usually do, with one of those sentences that just tells you exactly what kind of person you're living next to. It's so inspiring, she says, glancing at my house, then me, to see one of you people doing so well. Yeah, buckle up. So here's how my neighbor, let's call her the beast in cheetah print, tried to nuke my life over parking spots, property lines, and pride, and how the whole thing finally exploded with her face buried deep in my 7-year-old superhero birthday cake. Cops, lawsuits, a cake massacre, this is the full saga, and somehow I'm still standing. Before the beast, my life was, well, damn near perfect. I'm a software architect, which is a fancy way of saying I organize chaos all day, making broken things run smooth. My house lot, 42. Whispering Oaks was my prize for years of ramen dinners and long nights. 2,500 square feet of hard-earned peace. My son and I moved in, and that backyard became his world soccer pitch Jungle Mars launch pad. Every weekend was cartoons bacon projects in the garage. That Mustang in my garage, I restored it myself because I wanted my son to know the value of honest work. The neighbors were fine. One side, a retired couple zucchini deliveries in the summer, silent nods. Other side, a young family with kids my son's age. We traded vacation house watch, borrowed sugar, and grumbled about rising HOA fees like suburban rebels. I had everything I ever wanted, a slice of quiet, a fortress for my boy and me. Sure, the mortgage was ugly, and the property taxes made me question my life choices every April, but every time I pulled up to the curb and saw my son's bike in the grass, it was worth it. The air smelled like fresh grass and pool chlorine. The dream. I didn't know the empty house next door, lot 43, was about to become the epicenter of my own personal earthquake. The moving truck showed up on a Tuesday, blocking the street, shouting standard headache. I just shrugged it off, until I saw her the new neighbor. She ran that move-in like a Roman general, barking orders, pointing with fingers so bejeweled you'd swear she was royalty. Built like a wall, bleach blonde hair squeezed into gym clothes that had never met an actual gym. Her husband, tall, soft-looking, wore smug like cologne. Their vibe screamed, we own the place. I tried being neighborly, walked over with a six-pack, said, welcome. The husband just sneered. We don't really do that. And then the beast turned, scanned me in my house, and let fly with that infamous line, it's just so inspiring to see one of you people doing so well. You people? Yeah, that happened. My smile froze. I retracted the beer and walked back to my sanctuary, the bottles suddenly feeling like lead weights. That was the first hairline fracture. A week later, it broke wide open. I took my Mustang for a tune-up, came back in a loaner sedan, and found their massive white SUV parked in my driveway, rear wheels a good 4 feet over the line right on my pristine concrete. Not a mistake, a message. I knocked. Husband answers, looks like I'm selling insurance. Your car's in my driveway. I need to park. He glances at the SUV, shrugs, says, my wife's not the best with spatial awareness. No apology. No shame. When I ask him to move it, he sighs like I've asked for his kidney, finally drags out and moves it. Maybe 6 inches still blocking the grass. Lawyer card comes out for the first time. I'd advise you to watch your tone. My wife is sensitive, and I'm a lawyer. You know what I mean? The SUV incident was the starter pistol for war. After that, it was little jabs day after day. They started parking their luxury cars, SUV, sedan, convertible, half in the street, making backing out of my drive a geometry quiz. I left a polite note. Next morning, I found it shredded on my lawn. Then the trash cans, they'd leave theirs out for days, ignoring the HOA rules. I sent anonymous complaints, got nothing but form letters. So I started documenting photos, videos, logs, the parties, the noise, their son doing burnouts at 2 a.m. My folder for Lot 43 grew thick. I was losing my sanctuary inch by inch. 3 months in, I took my mountain of evidence to the quarterly HOA meeting expecting, I don't know, justice. What I got was the beast in cheetah print spinning an Oscar-worthy tale of persecution, her husband threatening litigation, the HOA board siding with them and giving me a formal warning for harassment. That's when I realized the system isn't just broken, it's working against me. The prince, their golden boy son, was just as insufferable as his parents, blasting music, trashing my lawn, sneering like he'd inherited the place. Then one night everything changed. Around 1 a.m., I saw him sneaking out to meet someone, a quiet young man, gentle, nothing like the frat pack. The two embraced, kissed. I could have used it as blackmail. I'll admit I thought about it, but watching them all I felt was pity. His arrogance was a shield hiding from parents who would never accept who he really was. That secret was never going to be my weapon, but it did remind me their family, for all its power, was just as fragile as anyone's. Meanwhile, the legal harassment kicked into overdrive. The lawyer husband sent me certified cease and desist letters, accusing me of harassment and stalking. My lawyer friend told me it's all bluster, don't engage, just keep documenting. So I bought cameras, upgraded my security, started living in my own private surveillance state, all just to keep the wolves at bay. The stress was relentless. Every trip to the mailbox made my stomach knot. Every letter, every email was a new accusation. And then came my son's 7th birthday, the day everything finally broke. I built him a superhero training camp in the backyard, hired an entertainer, ordered a cake that cost more than my first car. For a couple hours, joy returned, kids running, wild parents chatting, the sun shining. Until I ducked inside for plates and returned to find the beast uninvited, literally face deep in my son's cake, shoveling handfuls into her mouth like some deranged raccoon. Kids and parents stared in horror. My son started crying. I told her to get off the cake. She looked at me with pure contempt, muttered, "You people always make such a big deal out of everything." That was it. I pushed her away. Not a shove, just a clear boundary. She collapsed, theatrically screamed assault, and her husband sprinted over, dialing 911. Police arrived, heard both sides, declared it a civil matter. No arrests, just humiliation, chaos, and a ruined birthday. 3 days later, a process server dropped off a $250,000 lawsuit, assault, emotional distress, slander, the works. Their goal was clear: bleed me dry, crush me, force me out. I was ready to give up until the rage burned through the despair. If they wanted war, they'd get war, but not on their terms. I started learning late nights, hunched over welding tutorials, researching property law, figuring out just how creative I could get with a little steel and a lot of anger. I bought a portable welder, scrap metal, laid out a plan. The perfect revenge, non-violent but unforgettable. The day my neighbors left for their Caribbean vacation, I went to work. In the dead of night, I welded the husband's SUV to a 100-pound block of steel, sealed every door, welded the wife's sedan to their son's convertible, a tangled sculpture of pettiness. I left a metal note on the hood, civil matter. Security cameras caught it all. My face hidden, but the SUV clearly trespassing. I took my son to Disney World and watched the chaos unfold on my phone. Security footage showed my neighbors' faces as they returned, rage, confusion, total meltdown. Tow trucks and cops came, but no one could undo what I'd done. My phone blew up with threats, legal notices, HOA fines. But for once I smiled. Back home, the battlefield was a tourist attraction. Neighbors gawked, police tape fluttered, the HOA lost its mind. More lawsuits landed, the police called me in, and the fines stacked up. Fear gnawed at me, but then I remembered who I was doing this for: my son, my own peace. And with that, I found my own shark of a lawyer, a legend who lived for fights like this. We countersued for racial discrimination, hired a PI who uncovered the husband's dirty secrets, a house of cards law practice, misused client funds, a Ponzi scheme on the edge of collapse. Their lawsuits weren't about principle, they were a desperate cash grab. The turning point? The prince, their son, came to me, scared, trapped, and told me where the smoking gun was. His dad's little black book of dirty deals hidden in the home office. That was the kill shot. My lawyer said a mediation dropped hints about the trust fund and watched the husband's smug face drain of color. Within minutes, they signed a full settlement. All suits, dropped fees, paid a binding behavioral contract, a restraining order. The war was over. I'd outlasted them not by stooping to their level, but by being smarter, more patient, and yes, a little ruthless. Now the beast and her husband are ghosts. Their driveway is empty. Their power shattered my home, finally quiet again. My son smiles, the world feels right, and I can look in the mirror knowing I stood my ground. But I know how these stories go. Some folks will say I went too far. Some will say I didn't go far enough. Justice, community, revenge, it's messy. So what would you have done? Would you have fought back or just moved on? Tell me in the comments, because in the end, every neighborhood's got a beast and every fortress needs defending.